Have you ever had one of those mornings, you know what I'm talking about? You wake up, you actually have a plan for the day, and you're feeling, well, you're feeling good about it.
Yeah, optimistic.
Totally. But then, maybe 20 minutes later, you've barely finished your coffee, and suddenly you're stressed, you're anxious, you feel like you're already behind.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't consciously choose that feeling. You didn't look in the mirror and say, you know what? Today I think I'll feel overwhelmed. Yet there it is.
It just happens. It feels like some program is just running in the background, executing commands you never even authorized.
Exactly.
And that experience is, well, it's universal. We think we're making all these conscious choices moment to moment. But the reality is that a huge percentage of our life is run by this silent operating system.
A silent operating system. I like that.
Back in the 30s, Ernest Holmes, he called it unconscious creation. Today, behavioral scientists call it the habit loop or, automaticity. Whatever you call it, it's the mechanism that keeps you stuck. It keeps you getting the same results year after year, even when you desperately want to change.
We are back with the third part of our series on creative mind and success. And today is all about that autopilot. We're going to strip away some of the mystical language and just look at the mechanics of why we repeat patterns we really don't like.
And we're going to cover 3 specific things today. First, we'll define what unconscious creation actually means. Plain English, no jargon. Second, we'll break down exactly how that autopilot loop forms so you can, see it happening in real time.
Okay.
And third, we're going to walk through a really practical method to interrupt that pattern and replace it with a new default.
If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one.
So let's start with the definition. Holmes wrote that life is a mirror. It reflects back to us not what we want, but what we are.
What we are. That's a big distinction.
It is. And when he talks about unconscious creation, he isn't talking about some, mysterious force. He's describing the fact that the subconscious mind it's impersonal.
Impersonal. What does that mean exactly?
Think of it like soil. The soil in your garden doesn't care if you plant a rose or a weed. It's neutral. It just grows whatever seed falls into it with the exact same energy.
And most of us aren't planting seeds on purpose. We're just letting the seeds of the world, the news, our family history, our past failures, just kind of fall into the soil.
Exactly. Holmes says that 95% of our mental life is run by these automatic scripts.
95%.
Yeah.
Wow.
We think we are thinking, but mostly we are just remembering. We're replaying old tracks. So if you're constantly hearing about how bad the economy is, that seed falls into the soil. You might not consciously want to be broke, but your unconscious creation is building a reality of scarcity because that's the pattern you've given it.
It's like the autopilot on a plane. The coordinates are set for a destination, the pilot can go take a nap, and the plane still goes there.
Yeah.
So if our coordinates are set to struggle, we can work as hard as we want all day, but that autopilot keeps pulling us back to struggle.
Precisely. And this isn't just philosophy, it's biology.
Yeah.
And to understand how to stop it, we have to look at what we're calling the autopilot loop. This is how the pattern gets locked in.
Okay.
It always follows a specific sequence. Trigger, story, feeling, action, and then result.
Okay, let's slow that down. Trigger, story, feeling, action, result. Walk us through that.
It always starts with a trigger. This is the cue. It could be an email from your boss, a look on your partner's face, or even, the time of day. Your brain scans the environment and spots something familiar.
Then comes the story.
Right. And this happens in a split second. Immediately, your brain assigns a meaning to that trigger. So if the trigger is boss sends email, the story might be, oh no, I'm in trouble, or they don't respect my time.
And this is what Holmes calls the mental atmosphere.
Exactly. It's the collective belief we've bought into, and that story creates the feeling.
Oh.
You can't have the emotion without the story coming first. If your story is, I'm in trouble, the feeling is anxiety, or maybe defensiveness. And this is crucial. The feeling is the fuel. Holmes says thought without feeling has no creative power.
So it's the emotion that impresses the subconscious.
That's it. Which then drives the action. If you feel defensive, your action might be to write a snappy reply back.
Or to just shut down and procrastinate.
Exactly. That action is the inevitable outcome of the feeling. And finally, you get the result.
Which I'm guessing confirms the original story.
Always. You procrastinate, so you actually do get in trouble, and your brain goes, see, I knew I was in trouble. The loop closes. You have just unconsciously created the very reality you were afraid of.
That is terrifyingly accurate. So let's make this more concrete. Can we walk through some real-world examples, maybe a work scenario?
Of course, let's take the imposter syndrome loop, so the trigger. You get assigned a new high-stakes project.
Okay, I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah. The story that immediately runs is, I'm not qualified for this. They're going to find out I'm a fraud.
Hmm.
So the feeling is panic, constriction, fear, which leads to the action. You either over-prepare to the point of exhaustion, or you delay starting because you're paralyzed.
And the result?
The result is you turn in the work late, or you're so stressed out that you look less competent, which just reinforces that original belief that you weren't good enough.
Wow. Yeah, I think a lot of us have lived that one. What about in relationships? That feels like a minefield for these loops.
Oh, absolutely. Here's a common one. Let's call it the rejection loop, the trigger.
Hmm.
You text your partner or a friend, and they don't reply for, say, 3 hours.
Okay, the dreaded non-reply.
The story kicks in. They're ignoring me. I must have said something wrong. The feeling, insecurity, loneliness.
And then the action.
The action is you either send a follow-up text that sounds kind of needy, or you withdraw and give them the cold shoulder when they finally do reply.
Which creates the result. You create tension in the relationship.
Exactly, which makes them actually want to pull away. Again, the mirror reflects your inner state. You created the very thing you were afraid of.
Let's do one more. Habits or money? That's a big one for people.
Right. Holmes talks a lot about poverty consciousness versus wealth consciousness. So the trigger, an unexpected bill arrives.
Yep. A sinking feeling.
So the story is, there's never enough, I can't get ahead. The feeling, resentment, anxiety, the action. You avoid looking at your bank account.
The head in the sand approach.
Right. You don't cancel that subscription you don't need because you're in denial. You stop looking for opportunities because you're so focused on the loss.
Yeah.
And the result, your bank balance actually creates more evidence of lack. You attracted what you feared.
So the big question then is, how do we stop the plane? How do we disengage this autopilot? Holmes talks about controlling the thought, but it happens so fast.
It is hard, but it's a skill. Holmes says we must stick to it until we gain the mastery of all our thought. So we're going to do a guided exercise right now. It's a pattern interrupt. This is how you catch the loop between the trigger and the action.
Yeah. All right. So if you're listening and driving, please keep your eyes on the road. But you can still do this mentally. If you're able to, just take a moment to focus. We're going to try and rewrite a loop.
Okay, first I want you to name the pattern. Pick one loop in your life that's bothering you right now. Is it the I'm overwhelmed loop? The they don't like me loop? Give it a name.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm going to name mine the rush loop.
The rush loop. Good. Naming it engages your conscious mind, your prefrontal cortex, and it takes you out of that emotional center. Now, step 2. Identify the trigger. What is the specific thing that happens right before you spiral? Pinpoint it.
For me, it's looking at the clock around 2 in the afternoon. That's when it hits.
Okay. 2 p.m. is the trigger. Step 3 is the most important part. We need to replace the story. Holmes calls this creating a mental equivalent.
You can't just stop a thought. You have to replace it.
Exactly. So we need a one-sentence truth that neutralizes the old story. And it can't be fake positivity. It should be a statement of power that feels, believable. So instead of, I'll never get this done, maybe the new story is, I have time for what matters most.
Okay.
Instead of, they're ignoring me, maybe it's, everyone has their own busy schedule, I am secure in myself. So take a moment and choose your one sentence now.
Mine is, I move at my own pace and it gets done.
Excellent. Now, step 4. Choose one small action. Holmes was very clear on this. Action is the physical completion of the thought. You can't just think it. You have to move your feet. What is one tiny thing you can do that proves you believe this new story?
So like a physical proof.
A physical proof.
Yeah.
If your story is, I have time, maybe you take one deep breath for 10 seconds. If your story is, I am secure, maybe you just put your phone down and go do a hobby you love. Decide on that small action.
So for my rush loop, I'm interrupting the pattern. I catch the trigger 2 p.m., I swap the story to I move at my own pace, and then I act on it immediately.
And you have to do it repeatedly. Holmes says, just as a physical path is made by walking again and again, a mental path is made by thinking the desired thoughts over and over. You are literally rewiring your brain.
This sounds simple, but I know people get tripped up. I get tripped up. What are the common mistakes people make when they try to switch off the autopilot?
There are 5 big ones we see. The first is what I'd call magical thinking.
Ah, yeah.
This is where people think, I'll just think happy thoughts and sit on the couch. Holmes is not about inaction. He says you have to treat the action as the completion of the thought. The universe isn't going to deliver a career to your living room if you don't apply for the job.
Right. Thinking isn't a substitute for doing, it's the blueprint for doing.
That's a perfect way to put it. The second mistake is worrying about the how. We get so obsessed with how the problem will be solved.
Guilty.
Holmes teaches that our job is the what? The mechanism of the law or the subconscious. It handles the how. If you plant a seed, you don't worry about how cell division happens, you just water it.
That's a huge relief. You
Yeah.
take on too much responsibility for the mechanics.
The third mistake is checking for results too soon. We plant the seed in the morning and we dig it up in the afternoon to see if it has roots.
And that just kills the seed.
It kills the seed. There is a time lag between the new thought and the physical result. You have to persist even when you don't see the change yet.
What's mistake number 4?
Double-mindedness. This is a big one. You do your affirmations in the morning. I am prosperous. I am successful.
And then at lunch, you complain to your coworker about how the company is going under, and you're terrified.
Yes. Holmes says you cannot think two kinds of thought and get one result. Your speech has to align with your intention 100% of the time.
Ouch. That's the discipline part.
Yeah.
And the last one.
Feeling unworthy. We think, oh, maybe I don't deserve this. Holmes is very modern here. He says the universe is impersonal. It doesn't judge you. Electricity doesn't care if you're a good person before it lights up your lamp. It just follows the circuit. The law just responds to your mental state. You don't have to earn it. You just have to align with it.
That idea, the impersonal nature of the law, that is so freeing. It just removes all the guilt.
It does. It puts the power right back in your hands.
Yeah.
You're the architect.
Okay, so let's recap what we've covered today. 1. Unconscious creation is just your subconscious mind executing old scripts. It's the autopilot.
Right. 2, it works through a loop. Trigger, story, feeling, action, result.
3. To change the result, you have to intervene at the story level.
4, use the pattern interrupt. You have to name the pattern to disarm it.
5. Replace the story with a new truth, what Holmes calls a mental equivalent.
6, take immediate small action to ground that new thought.
And 7. Avoid double-mindedness. Don't cancel out your good work with complaining.
So this week, your assignment is simple. Just catch one loop. Just one. Don't try to fix your whole life in a day. Just notice when you go on autopilot, stop, and choose a different story.
Next time, we're going even deeper. We've talked about stopping the negative loops, but how do you proactively build the new life? We're going to talk about the power of attraction. Not in a magical way, but in a way that explains why you keep attracting the same types of people and situations, and how to change your magnetic signature.
It's going to be a great discussion on what he calls vibrational escrow. You won't want to miss it.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
If you want the full series, check the playlist, and please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.